In the wake of Israel's recent military attacks on targets linked to the Islamic Republic, Iran's prosecutor general issued a warning targeting social media users, accusing them of disturbing public psychological security and threatening legal action. According to state-affiliated media, the cyber division of the prosecutor's office claimed some users share images and messages aimed at unsettling the public, accusing them of acting in favor of the Zionist regime, and confirming that legal measures have already been taken against some. The statement labeled these users as enemies, warning that any content that spreads fear or insecurity online will be treated as part of the enemy's psychological warfare, and that preventative action will be taken in coordination with the judiciary. In a separate statement, Iran's police warned citizens not to photograph or film the movement of missiles or military equipment. Capturing and sharing such footage is a criminal offense, the statement said, and could compromise retaliatory operations or aid enemy intelligence. Citizens were further urged not to share any news or updates online, especially in light of Israel's cyber units collecting intelligence. Those in elevated areas were specifically warned not to film potential missile launches from Iranian territory. Following Israeli military strikes on Islamic Republic positions, Iran's Ministry of Communications announced temporary internet restrictions, citing the country's special circumstances. According to reports, WhatsApp, unblocked just months ago, has been rebanned. International internet access has also been heavily throttled, and many Iranian platforms that rely on Cloudflare infrastructure are facing widespread outages due to blocked access to the service. Iranian Americans for Liberty strongly condemns the violent unrest and attacks erupting on U.S. streets, particularly in cities like Los Angeles, where illegal activities and criminal behavior have disrupted communities and targeted federal agents working to maintain law and order. We deplore the chaos caused by mobs engaging in destructive actions, undermining safety and stability. We are deeply concerned by the apparent silence and perceived complacency of Democrats in the face of this turmoil. Our organization stands firm in supporting decisive leadership to restore peace, protect citizens, and uphold the rule of law across the nation. You can't reform evil. The Islamic Republic is non-negotiable. Abbas Korkuri, widely known as Mujahid Korkur, a detainee from the national uprising in Iran during the imperial year 2581, was executed in the early hours of Wednesday, June 11th. Mujahid Korkur had initially been charged with the murder of the late Kian Pirfalak, a 9-year-old child, and was subsequently convicted on the charges of corruption on earth and enmity against God. However, the family of Kian Pirfalak, who was fatally shot in the city of Izeh during the national uprising of the imperial year 2581, has consistently asserted that the responsibility for the child's death lies with the security forces of the Islamic Republic. The family has also publicly declared that they do not hold Mujahid Korkur accountable and have filed no complaint against him, wrote Iranian Americans for Liberty on X. Gelar Abbasi, a monarchist political prisoner held in Evin prison, has released a statement condemning the execution of Mujahid Korkur. She described the act as a clear example of injustice and a fundamental violation of human rights. Opening this statement with a tone of sorrow, she wrote, "The heartbreaking news of yet another child of our homeland being executed filled my heart with rage and sorrow. This unjust act is a deep wound on the body of Iran and the conscience of humanity. Ms. Abbasi went on to remember Mujahid Korkur alongside Kian Pirfalak, writing, "I mourn like the thousands of grieving Iranians standing with the families of our fallen, with the sorrowful hearts and anxious eyes of this land." A group of traditional oil press workers in the city of Ardakan held a protest in front of the governor's office. They were voicing frustration over worsening economic conditions, soaring operational costs, and what they described as continued neglect and lack of support from local authorities. Frustrated shareholders of the Biarjaman cement factory gathered in front of the Shahrud Governorate office to protest the project's long-standing limbo and repeated broken promises by officials. The demonstrators demanded answers and accountability after years of delays and uncertainty. Social Security retirees in the city of Shush and Khuzestan staged a protest march and gathered outside the local Social Security office to express their deep frustration over deteriorating living conditions and continued government inaction. Many of the protesters held signs demanding fair pensions that match inflation and rising living costs. They also criticized officials for ignoring past promises and failing to implement meaningful reforms. The retirees emphasized that their demands are not political. They're about survival and dignity after decades of hard work. A group of retired telecommunications workers in Kermanshah, Shiraz, Sanandaj, Zanjan and Isfahan held a protest to voice their anger over deepening poverty, harsh living conditions, and the government's ongoing neglect of their demands. With years of service behind them, these retirees stood united in calling for fair pensions, overdue payments, and respect. Their peaceful protest was a plea for basic dignity in the face of growing hardship.
تا زمانی که به حق و حقوقمان طبق آیین‌نامه نرسیم در از تزمات نمیکشیم.